You want to be on the table? Well, I just saw a headline that said, a controversial study suggests that Megalodon did not look like a 50-foot great white shark. I just read a book by Mary Laura Philpott. Let me double check that name. A book by Mary Laura Philpott called Bomb Shelter. You know, they say don't read a book by the cover. I 100% read this book because of the cover, because it's called Bomb Shelter, and it has a little tortoise. I think it's an eastern box tortoise. I used to find, I found at least one or two eastern box tortoises in Michigan when I was in high school, wandering through fields behind my parents' house. I would say that this book is mostly about parenting and the bittersweet reality, the beautiful and fleeting reality of parenting. That's a topic that's close to my heart because I have two sons, 8 and 9 years old. And actually this book complemented well with a book that I just read right before it, or a couple books before it, which was Bittersweet by Susan Cain. So Mary Philpott, it's a memoir. It has a lot of it's kind of written in like vignette form. Some of the vignettes maybe feel like non sequiturs. They don't necessarily tie to what comes before. It doesn't make a narrative. It's not necessarily chronological, but yet there's sort of a thematic thread that ties them together. And it addresses the yearning and the longing of wanting to protect what's precious to you. I think, hence the name Bomb Shelter. And that mostly has to do with those who you love, who you care about. And, our inadequacy and our frustration with our inadequacy to actually secure protection for those we love. And the only recompense for that being that we can just do the best to love them while we have them. So it was a thoughtful book. I hadn't heard of it before. I found it on the Libby app. And since here where I live, Libby, the library catalog, doesn't seem to have very good Libby collections, instead of looking for a book and hoping it's on there, I usually come up empty. So I'll start with the books on there and kind of filter down through the categories, nonfiction, whatever I'm interested in, and kind of find a book that way. And it's kind of cool because then you find books that you never would have found before or otherwise. You want to come up here? I would say an anchor point is her son's epileptic seizure that he had when he was a high school student, and how that kind of shifted just the way of being as a family and the concerns around that. But pretty expansive and here and there, and memories and hopes and desires. I'll tell you what kind of a side note in the book that caused me and still causes me way too much not wasted, but boy, it has taken up too much real estate in my mind, is the author, Mary, talks about how her husband was asked in a job interview, if you were a fruit or a vegetable, what would you be? And he answered just immediately. He just had an answer. The first one, it was like a melon or some kind of melon. But that question just got stuck in my mind. And I know it's a silly and funny question, but I'm staying up at night thinking, if I was a fruit or a vegetable, what would I be? And so that's something that now can waste your mental energy. I remember when I was driving up with my family to Michigan last summer from here in New Mexico, we were listening to all kinds of music because it's, a super long drive. And we were listening to Elton John, and I've seen Elton John in concert about 10 years ago, and I like Elton John's music. And my wife, Betsy, asked me, so what would you say your favorite Elton John song is? And I just started like, oh man, this one's great, but that one's also really great. And this one, and I just went on like this. And I was like, this one's more of a ballad, but this one's more fun. And she, just kind of listened in silence. And then finally there was a break in my, in my analysis, in my thought process. And she just said, oh, I like Benny and the Jets. And it was, it was almost like a mic drop. It was, I don't know why it was so funny to me. But I will say that right now, since we've started talking about Elton John, my favorite song by him right now is kind of an obscure one. He recorded it on like his first CD release. CD. First of all, I'm showing his age and my age and my unawareness of his age. His first record, which I think came out in like 1969. And the problem is the song is not good on that record because he recorded it on harpsichord, which is not an instrument that I care for. But he re-recorded it later with piano, and you can get it as like a bonus track on the Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player record, and it's called Skyline Pigeon. And the progression and the melody, now we're just talking about that song, but it's the greatest. It's full of longing, yearning, wanting to be free. And so right now, that's my favorite song by him, and one of my favorite songs. And anyway, that's my very quick and disorganized thoughts, not a review, just thoughts on the book, Bomb Shelter, which I'm glad I stumbled across. And I hope that you are enjoying whatever you're reading and becoming broader and deeper and wider because of it. We'll see you next time.